Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Reading from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 22, verse number 14 and 15. Ramatrodera dasaha na tara lathi thaya. Brahmite brahmite yadi sadhu vaidyapaya. Tara upadesa mantre pisachi palaya. Krishna bhakti payata be Krishna nitratayaya. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. In this way, the conditioned soul becomes the servant of lusty desires, and when these are not fulfilled, he becomes the servant of anger and continues to be tricked by the external energy, Maya. Wandering and wandering throughout the universe, he may by chance get the association of a devotee physician, whose instruction and hymns made the witch of the external energy flee. The conditioned soul thus gets into touch with devotional service to Lord Krishna, and in this way he can approach nearer and nearer to the Lord. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. An explanation of verse 8 through 15 is given by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Amrita Pravaha Bhashya. The Lord is spread throughout the creation in His quadruple expansion and incarnations. Krishna is fully represented with all potencies in each and every personal extension. But the living entities, although separated expansions, are also considered one of the Lord's energies. The living entities are divided into two categories, the eternally liberated and the eternally conditioned. Those who are ever liberated never come in contact with Maya, the external energy. The ever conditioned souls are always under the clutches of the external energy. This is described by Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, Daivi he sa runamayi mama maya duratyaya. The divine energy of mind, consisting of three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome. The Nitya Baddhas are always conditioned by the external energy, and the Nitya Murtas never come in contact with the external energy. Sometimes an ever liberated personal associate of the Supreme Personality of Godhead descends into this universe just as the Lord descends. Although working for the liberation of conditioned souls, the messenger of the Supreme Lord remains untouched by the material energy. Generally, ever liberated personalities live in the spiritual world as associate of Lord Krishna, and they are known as Krishna Parisad, associates of the Lord. Their only business is enjoying Lord Krishna's company, and even though such eternally liberated persons come within this material world to serve the Lord's purpose, they enjoy Lord Krishna's company without stoppage. The ever liberated person who works on Krishna's behalf enjoys Lord Krishna's company through his engagement. The ever conditioned soul, provoked by lusty desires to enjoy the material world, is forced to transmigrate from one body to another. Sometimes he is elevated to higher planetary systems, and sometimes he is degraded to hellish planets and subjected to tribulation of external energy. Due to being conditioned by the external energy, the conditioned soul within this material world gets two kinds of bodies, a gross material body and a subtle material body, composed of mind, intelligence and ego. Due to the gross and subtle bodies, he is subjected to the threefold miseries, Adhyatmik, Adibhautik and Adidaivik. Miseries arising from the body and mind. Other living entities and natural disturbance caused by the demigods from higher planetary systems. The conditioned soul subjected to the threefold material miseries is ceaselessly tricked by Maya, and this is his disease. If by chance he meets a saintly person who works on Krishna's behalf to deliver conditioned souls, and if he agrees to abide by his order, he can gradually approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna.
The following is a class from the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, Volume 8, Chapter 22, Text 14 through 19, given by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, recorded in January of 1967 in New York.
ग्राम को ढेर दास हइया तार लाठी खाए भ्रमिते भ्रमिते यदि साधुबद्ध पाए. So the conditioned soul is just like being kicked up by the material energy from this way to that way. That is our position. And the kicking is by lust and anger. Ichha desha samuthena sarge janti parantam. We have got two things here in the conditioned life. We desire something, and if the desire is not fulfilled, then we become angry. So in this way, we are traveling, or transmigrating from one body to another. Now this can be stopped. This process can be stopped. How? Bhamite bhamite yadi sadhu vajjapa. In this way, we are being kicked up by Maya, but if by chance we get the shelter of a good physician means a bona fide spiritual master, then by his advice, just like a patient is cured by following the instruction of a bona fide physician, similarly, this disease of being kicked up from one body to another, this could be stopped by the instruction of a bona fide sadhu, saintly person, or spiritual master, or shastra, or scripture. So the scriptures and the saintly person and spiritual master, they are on the same level. Because a sadhu who is a saintly person, he would not place anything which is not sanctioned by the scripture. Similarly, a bona fide spiritual master means he is following the footprints of the previous acharya. Therefore he is bona fide. And so the scripture is the medium through which we have to get our experience and knowledge through the explanation of sadhu, saintly persons and spiritual masters. So there is a very nice verse quoted from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Kamadinang katina katidha palita dunnidesha teshang jata maina karuna natrapa nopashanti utsijya etan atha jadupati sampratam labda buddhi tamayata saranam abhayang mang nijankhatmadasre. A devotee is praying to the Lord that, my dear Lord, I have experienced that I came to enjoy this material world, but actually I am being kicked up. By whom we are kicked up? Na kamadina, kama, krodha, lobha. There are 6 good friends. We have accepted them as good friends, but they are not good friends. What are they? They lust and the anger, and the avarice, and greediness, so many things. To serve the material world, to enjoy the material world, not serve. We don't wish to serve, we want to enjoy. But actually we become servants of all these principles. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Bhaya. We are servant of fearfulness, we are servant of malice, we are servant of lust, we are servant of anger, although we are thinking they are master. So, one who has come to the senses that I am acting here as servant. I am servant of my society, I am servant of my family, I am servant of my senses, I am servant of mind. So many things I have created. Up to that, I am servant of dog, I am servant of cat, and so many things I have become servant. But I am thinking I am master. This is called Maya. So one who comes to the senses, he can understand that I am not master, I am servant. Because I am constitutionally servant. I am subservient to the Supreme. I am expansion of Krishna. Why? Because Krishna meant that there would be so many expansions and they would like to love me and I will be enjoyed. Anandamaya Abhyasa. Suppose I keep some friends. Suppose I create some disciples. What is the idea? The idea is that we shall enjoy reciprocally. My disciples, we shall talk about Krishna and we shall eat together and we shall chant together. This is the idea. Now if some of the disciples become overruled, then it becomes a very precarious condition for me. Similarly, God expanded Himself as the living entity for enjoyment. Reciprocal, not that God's own enjoyment. When there is question of enjoyment, all the parties who participate in a particular type of enjoyment, they enjoy. So, the perfection of enjoyment, when God desired that I should expand myself so that I can enjoy, so His enjoyment is not deficient. But if we want not to enjoy with God, but we want to enjoy in a different way, that is my misfortune. So, originally, as Lord Chaitanya has explained in the very beginning, you may remember that the constitutional position of the living entity is to serve. This point we have explained several times. So, we cannot change that position. If we don't serve Krishna, then we have to serve Maya. That position is there. So, here in this material world, we are rendering service to these. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, we are servant of lust, we are servant of anger, we are servant of avarice, we are servant of so many things. So, Kamadinam Kutidhana Kutida. And servant, when one becomes servant, he has to execute anything with the master's order. Suppose one is serving some big man, he says that you do this, I want. Now to satisfy him, one has to act according to his desire, which he may not like. Suppose one says that you go and tell this lie, it is required by me. Now because I am in service. Even great personalities like Bhishma, such a great personality, he could not join with the Pandav's party because he became a servant of the Kurus. The servitude is such a thing. A servant means a dog's qualification. In the Bhagavad it is stated that because the higher caste, the caste system, higher means the Brahmins, the Kshatriyas and the Vaishyas, they will never become servant of anyone. Therefore they are higher. The Sudras, they accept service of others. So that was the stricture. And in the Shastra, the Brahmins and the Kshatriyas, the higher caste, and the Vaishyas, they would never serve. Now, there is injunction in the Bhagavad. If a Brahmin is in trouble, he can take the profession of a Vaishya, but never take the profession of a dog that never serves. Because as soon as one becomes servant, his independence is lost. So, our independence, we can keep only our independence when we become servant of God, because there is no injustice. Here it is said, Kamadinam katidhana katidha palija durnidesha. Of course, you are my master, that's all right. Whatever you order, I have to carry out. But sometimes the master ordered that you do this, which I should not do. We have got practical experience in our life, and sometimes we do something which is not to be done, but being carried away by lust, we do so many nonsense things. So we are servant of this lust and anger. So one who is in sense, he says like this, that I have served this kama krodha, but the result is that they are not satisfied. This material world, if you go on serving anyone, and if you ask the master, are you well served? He will never say that I am. Rather, if even a master is satisfied, he would not frankly say, though I am satisfied. This is the nature. So, the devotee says, now, because I see that I have to serve only, so I have given up the service of this Maya. I have given up the service of Maya. Utsijja itan. Utsijja, the service of Maya I have now given up. Then what you want to do? Utsijja itan atha jadupate sampratam labdha buddhi. Now, just presently, I am little bit intelligent. What is that? You are designing a service? Yes. Oh, that is not very good intelligence. How you will provide yourself? No. Yes. Samaya. I have come to you, my Lord. Samaya. I have approached you. Because you are saranam abhayam. You are a perfect master. There is no fear of my being dismissed. Saranam abhayam samayata mang nijunkhatma dasya. Now please give me an appointment in your service. This is the perfection of service. We have to give up the service of the Maya and take an appointment from Krishna. Then that is our perfection. The service is there. Just change the account. Just change the account. From this service to that service. If you want to dominate, if you want to exploit the resources of nature, that is materialism or material civilization, then you become more and more servant of nature. But if you give up all these propensities and just submit, surrender to Krishna and take an appointment from Krishna, then you will be happy. This is the position. So, the sadhu was the sadhu, saintly person, or the spiritual master, or the scripture, what do they advise? That as it has been stated, that by the instruction of saintly person, by the instruction of spiritual master, one gets out of this kicking problem. And what is this instruction? The instruction is very simple. That you give up the service of this sense gratification. You just engage yourself to the service of Krishna. This is Krishna consciousness. You simply change the consciousness. Now your consciousness is absorbed in varieties of sense gratification. You stop this. You just apply your senses unto the service of the Supreme Lord. This is called devotional service, bhakti or Krishna consciousness. It's a simple process. Just we have to change. The activities are the same. Bhakti means sarvapadhi vinirmukta tatparatena nirmanam. Nirmanam. Rishikena rishikesa sevanam bhakti rikshate. Rishik means senses, and Rishikesh means the Krishna. So, Krishna is the master of your senses. Just like, actually, suppose this house, so we are now occupying this house. We are supposed to be the master of this house. But actually, we are not the master of the house. The master is the landlord. But again, if you go further, the landlord is also not the actually master. The master is the state. The supreme master is God. So we have to take shelter of the supreme master. Krishna bhakti hai avidya pradhan bhakti mokh niriksha karma yoga gyan. Now there are different processes of self-realization. Just like creative activities, karma yoga, jnana yoga, dhyana yoga, hatha yoga, so many, there are different, but they are simply steps. They are not themselves final. One who is unable to engage himself in Krishna consciousness, for them these different steps are prescribed, not for the person who is engaged in Krishna consciousness. Because if one does not engage himself in the service of Krishna, in Krishna consciousness, then he may not like for so many reasons. For social reason, for political reason, for religious reason, for many other reasons. Although we find that it is a very nice process, but still there are some impediments which restrict us not to follow this principle. Now, one who cannot follow this principle, for them these different processes are prescribed so that someday in the future he can have this opportunity of becoming a servant of Krishna. Because that is the final goal. So here, Lord Chaitanya says, Krishna bhakti hai avidya pradhan. For self-realization, if you want to realize yourself, or if you want to get out of these material clutches, then the main function is to become in Krishna consciousness and be engaged in the service of the Lord directly. And bhakti mokh nirikha karma yoga gyan and other processes, they are also admitted, but they are dependent on this process. That means by karma yoga, when you acquire knowledge, then that is another step forward. Then by jnana yoga, when you are able to meditate, by jnana yoga you can understand the super soul and your soul, and when you understand also that by the individual soul, the super soul has to be seen by meditation and focus. That is called dhyana yoga. Then when you understand super soul, then go further, you can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Anyway, all these processes, yoga means just like a staircase. You cover the staircases under certain rules and regulations, but the highest, topmost place is that Krishna Bhakti or Krishna consciousness. Ultimately you have to reach that point. So any other process that is dependent on the Krishna consciousness. But Krishna consciousness is direct method, it is not dependent on any such method. A person who is in Krishna consciousness, he does not require to perform dhyana yoga or hatha yoga or karma yoga or jnana yoga, automatically everything will come up. Just like if you get $10,000, then your business for $1,000 is automatically served. But if you have got $1,000, the business of $10,000 cannot be served. The Krishna Bhakti, Krishna consciousness is full. Lord Chaitanya therefore said, the Krishna Bhakti hai avideya pradhan, amongst all other processes for self-realization. This is the chief. Bhakti mokh nirikha karma yoga. And other processes, just like karma yoga, dhyana yoga, jnana yoga, they are dependent on Krishna. Krishna Bhakti, devotional service, Krishna consciousness. এই সব সাধনের অতি তুচ্ছ বল কৃষ্ণ ভক্তি বিনা তাহা দিতে নারে ফল. Now it is clearly explained that if you simply prosecute the other system of yoga, then you will never be able to reach to the final goal. Therefore, it is senseless. Krishna Bhakti Vinada, unless you add to it Krishna Bhakti plus Karma Yoga, means karma, your working capacity plus Krishna consciousness. Your speculative capacity plus Krishna consciousness. Your meditating capacity plus Krishna consciousness. When you make it plus, then it becomes successful. Krishna consciousness minus karma, Krishna consciousness minus knowledge, that will never be able to give you the desired result. Now he is quoting one passage from Srimad Bhagavatam. Naskanmamapacchito bhavavajjitam nasubhati jnanam alam. Naskanmamapacchito bhavavajjitam nasubhati jnanamalam niranjanam kutappunassasadavaddam ishari nacharpitam karma jadapakaranam. Now the Bhagavad instructs that even a person in high status of knowledge cannot get success without being taken shelter of Achyuta Bhava. Achyuta means Krishna. Krishna's another name is Achyuta. So Achyutananda means one who takes pleasure in Krishna. Krishna's name is Achyuta. Achyuta means infallible, who never falls. That is the difference between Krishna is Brahma, we are also Brahma, but we are not Achyuta, we are Chuta. Chuta means falling down. We have got the tendency of falling down. Krishna never falls down. Therefore his name is Achyuta. The Achyuta Bhava Varjita, Jnanam Amalam. If you go on speculating on knowledge, but if that knowledge is minus Krishna, then na sobhate, it is not very nice thing, because it will not give you the desired result. So Bhagavad says, even a man advanced in knowledge, he cannot get the desired result without Achyuta Bhava. Achyuta Bhava means Krishna, and Bhava means his relationship. Sentiment. Bhava actually means sentiment, Krishna sentiment. Krishna sentiment means Krishna consciousness. Now, if a person in advanced knowledge, he cannot get the desired result, then what to speak of others who are hovering on these material activities? So material activities, if you want to make success of your any activity, then make it plus Krishna. Plus Krishna consciousness. Then it will be all perfect. So Krishna consciousness does not prohibit anybody to for his particular occupation. They simply ask and request all that you make it plus Krishna consciousness. Then your success is guaranteed. If you make it plus Krishna consciousness, that is required. Then another quotation is tapassina dana parajasasina manasino mantra vidhasu mangala chimangna vindanti vinaja datpanam tasmai subhadda savasi namo namaha. Tapassina. There are many ascetics taking severe penance for perfection. Tapassina. Tapassina danapara. Danapara means there are many persons who are munificent, making charity. Danapara. And jasassina. There are many persons who are very famous. Tapassina danapara jasa. Manassina. Manassina means mental speculator, philosopher, thinking, high thinkers, great thinkers. So these are worldly great men, one who performs great penance, one who is very charitably disposed, one who is very famous, one who is very mentally advanced, who can think nice things, writes philosophical theses, writes nice poetry, Manassina. These are the products of great mind. Manassina, mantravida. Mantravida means the chanters of Vedic hymns. Mantravida, sumangala. These things are all nice, auspicious. These things are ordinary. But chevangla vindanti vinaja darpanam. But these things cannot, by these things you cannot alone have success unless it is not offered to the Supreme Lord. Your good qualification should be engaged in the service of the Supreme Lord. Then you get the desired result. And our mother has written very nicely that if you talk of Krishna, then you enjoy yourself and you give enjoyment to many others. And if you talk of merit, then you can create some, I mean to say, what is the exact word? Noise. You can create some noise for some time. So, if you are a good writer, if you are a good thinker, then just think of Krishna and write. Then it will please you and it will please all others. Our back to Godhead is for that purpose. And if you write some fiction, you can please some men and create some noise for some time in the world, but it will be useless after some time. Just like Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, 5,000 years before it was written, it is still giving life. It is because it is Krishna Katha. And within your experience, so many nice novelists and poets came and gone. Nobody cares for it. So you can create noise. Very nice words he has used, I am very pleased. That by writing such things, you can create a noise in the world for some time. But it will mix in the, it will go in the oblivion. So, everything should be engaged in the service of Krishna, in Krishna consciousness. That is the perfection of everything. Thank you.